How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.
What's going on, everybody? Marco here from 14P, and I am bringing you the kickoff to our Dynasty content. We are going to be launching Dynasty content each and every week as we wrap up or get to through the second half of the 2021 season to prepare you for the Dynasty offseason, which is a major time for teams to be making trades, making moves, especially to capitalize on maybe some impatient owners or potentially players who have just been left out on the waivers for your taking. So I'm going to give you some quick moves to make starting from this week, week 10 in the fantasy season through the offseason. And we'll be launching these, like I said, kind of almost every week. And I wanted to kind of start with some of the basics, but also some players that I think are either great to add to your team, and then one player that I think you should trade for, even though he might be at what's perceived as a ceiling to some people. And then we've got a Dynasty trade video that I also dropped this week. So go ahead and check that out if you enjoy this video. So let's jump right into it. And the first one is find contenders in need. So if you are a Dynasty team that is not really a contender, or maybe you're just barely going to make your way into the playoffs, but you know, really, you aren't a team that's here for the long haul. You aren't going to really take a shot at a championship this season. Then what I would say is find a contender who is in need of veterans. Maybe you've got a Mike Williams on your team. Maybe you have got, I'm trying to think of another. Maybe you've got Aaron Rodgers level guy on your team, or Tom Brady, who are guys who will probably still have value for a little while, but they're definitely near the peak, or the cliff, I should say, of their fantasy value. You know, they've got maybe a couple of years left, especially the quarterbacks. But guys like Mike Williams, who had a breakout season, but he's also 29. So that kind of value isn't going to be sustainable long-term. Go ahead and see what you can turn these guys into in long-term assets, in maybe some nice young talent, and maybe a combination of young talent and draft picks. Find the contenders in your team or in your league that are in need of one or two pieces that could really put them over the edge to make a title run this year, and won't really put you at risk of losing to this team, you know, a couple years down the road when your team is making a giant push for the title. So find contenders in need, offload some of your, 28 to 30-year-old wide receivers, offload maybe your I don't want to say 25, but maybe offload your 26 and up year old running backs who have been really good, but you don't know if they can sustain it. And depending who it is, maybe the 25-year-old running backs even, who have been solid, but you know that you're not going to win this year. You're probably not going to win it all next year. Go ahead and look to move those guys for pieces that can help you build for the future. Okay, the second one is acquire 2022 second-round picks. And I know you're thinking, why would I do that? I want to get first-round picks. Everybody wants first-round picks. They're at a premium. Right now is when you can get second-round picks for really cheap. And what do we all know if we've been playing Dynasty fantasy for any amount of time, is that in the draft, these picks skyrocket in value. There's going to be players that people like, or players that people didn't expect to fall quite as far as they did, especially if you're in super flex leagues, where the second round picks have tremendous value in the draft. But right now you can get them for pennies. So go ahead and accrue these second round picks, because when you get to draft time, people will want to buy these picks, and you can maybe package them into maybe a nice wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3, a really solid flex, maybe even an RB2. If you are close to contending, but you need a couple more pieces, go ahead and turn around these second round picks come draft time and get yourself some actual talent, proven talent. I love doing that in drafts. So let's move on here. And this is going to be the only trade on this video, but it's Elijah Mitchell. And right now, a lot of people probably are like, how am I going to buy Elijah Mitchell? He's probably on a team that needs him. And that's true. But maybe he's on a team that also really isn't contending, and they think, hey, I don't think this guy's the long-term answer for the 49ers. I am planting my flag saying right now that Elijah Mitchell is going to be the guy for the 49ers. I think he's going to be the guy this year. I think he's going to continue to be the guy next year, and maybe even a little bit longer after that. If his body can hold up, and, there's been some questions with that, but if his body can hold up, I think he is a perfect fit for this 49ers offense. next season they could have the emergence of Trey Lance, which is going to take a little bit of pressure off of the running backs here, especially guys like Elijah Mitchell. So I think Elijah Mitchell is a buy, even though people might see him at his ceiling right now. I don't think we've seen it yet. So go ahead and try to get a guy like Elijah Mitchell. And I'm okay trading, one of those other guys who maybe are a little bit older, like a Mike Williams. I would trade a Mike Williams for an Elijah Mitchell. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you have trade questions with Elijah Mitchell below. But we've got an entire trade video. And I didn't even put Elijah Mitchell on that one because this one's just for you guys. But we've got an entire trade video focused on dynasty trades you can make coming out. I think maybe today, maybe tomorrow. But go ahead and check that out as well. But Elijah Mitchell, I think he's the long-term answer, I should say, for the foreseeable future answer for the 49ers backfield. All right, the next couple are just guys who are probably sitting on your waivers that I think are worth adding to your team because who knows what happens in the offseason, who knows, who leaves teams and what kind of value and what kind of progress these kinds of players can take or steps these players can take. The first one is Michael Strachan from the Indianapolis Colts. He is a huge wide receiver. He's 6'5", and, T.Y. Hilton's been in and out. I don't think he's going to be around very much longer. And the thing with Strachan is that he was always going to be a project. He was this raw talent. He was a huge body. And I think that another offseason with this team, probably more opportunities depending on what wide receivers stay, what wide receivers go for this Colts offense. I think he could be a solid complement to Michael Pittman. I'm not saying he's going to be the star there. Obviously, there's Jonathan Taylor, there's Michael Pittman. But I think Strachan could be a wide receiver 3. He could be a solid flex come next season. And even if he doesn't do it next season, you've probably got taxi squads where you can throw him on your taxi squad for his first 2 years, maybe his rookie season only. But if you've got a taxi squad that can fit 2, go ahead and throw him on there because he could be a guy who's going to be a third-year breakout level player because, like I said, he was a raw talent. He has all the physical traits. Now it's only if he can get some of the NFL details down, some of the finer points of being a true wide receiver. But he has the talent to do it if he can get those things figured out. So he's an absolutely free option for you in most leagues that you can just throw in your taxi squad or throw at the very end of your bench. Especially if you're not a contender, you can drop whoever you want at this point, right? All right. The next guy I want to talk about is Nico Collins. He had huge hype coming into this season. Obviously, the Texans are a mess. There's been up and down who's kind of the guy there at quarterback. Is it Tyrod Taylor? That was Davis Mills. Then we're going back to Tyrod Taylor. This is going to be a mess for a while. But Nico Collins has shown flashes. His peripheral metrics look pretty solid. And he's seeing some decent targets as we get later and later into the season. I don't know if, again, he's not going to be a guy who's your wide receiver 1. But I think he could fight for more and more usage on this team. Brandon Cooks is an aging wide receiver who they might let go after this year or walk away from the team after this year. So I think that Nico Collins could be a post-hype sleeper heading into next season. And if you can go ahead and throw him on the end of your bench now, you can either hold on to him and hopefully that happens, or maybe the hype gets a little bit crazy with him going into his second season, and you could offload this guy for picks or maybe a proven asset. But I actually like Nico Collins as a talent, and I think he could be a guy that you're going to be grateful for that you stashed on your bench. All right, now this one might have some people rolling their eyes, but I'm saying that you should add David Njoku. He is shown some flashes this year. He's not getting consistent playing time, and this picture is kind of cutting me off a little bit, but he's shown some flashes this year. He's not getting consistent playing time, like I said, but he is a free agent after this season. So he is going to go somewhere, and they could put him, he could land in a spot where he gets to actually be the tight end, or at least, the tight end as long as he's healthy. And I think David Njoku could flirt with tight end 1 numbers if he finds the right spot. It's not a guarantee, but if you're looking for lottery tickets, I think that he's a guy that you could get for either fairly cheap, or you can add him off your waivers at this point with how inconsistent he's been. I don't think a lot of contenders are holding on to David Njoku, and he could be a nice piece for you in like the twilight of his career. He kind of take a step forward here, and he's actually not even that old as a tight end. So go ahead and lock him down if you can. And if it's not costing you much, because I think he could surprise some people next year, depending where he lands team-wise. All right, guys. Well, that is my initial dynasty moves to make. I'm going to be launching some more stuff, like I said, each and every week for you guys to check out. And we're going to get deeper and deeper. We're going to talk about guys and moves you should make outside of trades, quite a bit. And then we've got our trade videos coming out every week as well. So go ahead and check us out. Leave your comments below. Follow me or ask me any questions or DM me on Twitter at Marco_14P. Thanks for hanging out. We'll see you next time. Peace.
How many snaps did they run in the 14 personnel?
That's only for us.
100% of the snaps.